Gaius is an ugly, hated, lonely mage with a crest that is as useless as his ugly face because it's not even suited for combat. He trained so hard to reach the level of a sage to reincarnate himself 1,000 years in the future. After being reborn as a 6-year-old boy and the third son of a duke's family, he attains the crest that he always desired. Unfortunately, it was also discovered that mankind's knowledge of magic and swordsmanship drastically deteriorated in that era, and his current mark that once hailed as the most powerful is now viewed as the weakest. Shattering prejudices, he promptly makes ripples in their society, uncovering the signs of dark forces working in the shadows, and with humanity weaker than ever, it is up to him to stop their evil plans. One day, while Matthias was traveling with a merchant, a huge tiger attacked them, but he defeated it instantly, and soon enough, he arrived at the royal capital. When he went into a store, he heard a female adventurer named Alma asking for help with the sword that her friend needed for the entrance exam. The blacksmith told her that the sword enchantment is difficult to do, so being the MC of this anime show, Matthias offered to do it instead. The blacksmith tells her that Matthias will fail to do it because his ugly face is as useless as his crest.
Oh, damn!
Not long after, Alma's friend, Luri, arrived, and Matthias fell in love with her at first sight. Luri felt the same way, and her floodgates opened for the first time. She then became awkward talking with him, so Matthias began casting enchantment spells on Luri's sword. Luri got her new sword, and the blacksmith is left dumbfounded because he cannot believe someone as ugly as Matthias can do it. Moments later, while Matthias is taking the entrance exams at the second magic academy, he saw Luri again. As the exam progresses, Luri takes her turn, and she manages to cut the examiner's sword, defeating her opponent in that instant. When she passed the entrance exam, Luri thanked Matthias for his help. Suddenly, Matthias was called to fight a knight for his entrance exam because they heard about his magical ability. When the battle started, Matthias beat his opponent instantly. Later on, they proceed to their next exam, so Luri uses her fire magic to hit the target, and she passes the exam. When it was Matthias' turn to hit the target, his teacher told him not to shame himself in front of many students because he had a useless crest. However, Matthias plans to shut his teacher's mouth using powerful wordless magic that destroyed the entire practice field. Matthias and his friends were accepted to the second magic academy, and they met the headmaster named Edward. He welcomes the students to the second magic academy and wishes them every success in their studies. After his short speech that no one cares about, Matthias is suddenly summoned into his office. Matthias thought that he would get a penalty for destroying the practice field, but to his surprise, the headmaster wanted him to teach wordless magic in their academy. Apparently, the use of wordless magic was banned a long time ago, but Edward explains that with his help, they could lift the ban and revive wordless magic in their world. Hearing all that, Matthias willingly accepts the headmaster's request. When the magic classes start, Matthias casts a wordless magic, so a teacher named Gazel shows his students that he can also use wordless magic and busts a target with fire magic. He said everyone can learn wordless magic like Matthias, so the students start learning it. Not long after, Alma shows him how she uses wordless magic. Luri, on the other hand, is having a hard time, so Matthias transfers some magic to Luri, making her successfully cast wordless magic. A few months later, the second Magic Academy had a battle tournament against the first Magic Academy. On the battlefield, Matthias is surprised that a demon is posing as a noble student from the first Magic Academy. The noble brats looked down on Matthias and told him that he was weak and that he would lose to them instantly. However, when the fight starts, Matthias instantly defeats them with his wordless magic spell. Matthias then tries to decapitate him, but his opponent manages to dodge. Eager to show his opponent's true nature, Matthias uses his magic to show the demon's true form. The demon then desperately attacked Matthias in an attempt to escape, but he saw through his plan and ended him in that instant. Moments later, the king summoned Matthias to reward him with a real estate property. However, what Matthias only wanted was permission to explore a dungeon and the right to keep the materials he would find inside. The king allowed him to explore the dungeon and keep the materials as he wanted. Soon after, the king expresses his worries about demons infiltrating the royal capital, so Matthias suggested creating a strong magical barrier that can protect the place from the demons. That said, he is permitted to enter the king's treasury and look for items that will help him develop the barrier. Matthias then found one of his powerful magical swords and took it, along with his magical necklace. The following day, Matthias successfully taught the other students how to use wordless magic. Upon revealing that he wants to go on an adventure in a dungeon, he asks Alma and Luri if they want to form a party with him. They officially formed an adventurers party and began exploring the dungeon. Before going to the deeper floors, Matthias taught how to handle the monsters that will come their way. Alma successfully infused magical power into her arrows, and she was so happy about it. Meanwhile, Matthias teaches Luri the basics of producing a magical weapon. But Luri tells him that she wants to feel his sword penetrating her body.
Stop it. Get some help.
However, Matthias tells her that there is a right time and place for that. Soon enough, Matthias explains that the entire dungeon contains numerous valuable resources that she can use to make magical weapons. Not long after, Luri made her own weapons and crafted some new equipment for Alma. As they go deeper into the dungeons, a bunch of monsters appear before them. Luri and Alma easily defeated the monsters, and with the help of Matthias' magic necklace, the party leveled up quickly because it doubles their experience points in the dungeon. Suddenly, a killer dog appears, and Matthias tells them that the monster is dangerous. The two girls defeated the monster with their teamwork, and Matthias praised them for their hard work. Matthias then created a safe zone for the girls, and he proceeded to go down to the 25th floor alone. While gathering helpful resources along the way, he senses the dungeon boss on the deeper floor. Matthias then jumped deeper into the dungeon, and with his overwhelming power, he easily defeated all the monsters that had come his way. He faces the dungeon boss and uses his magic sword to slash the menace, but fails to defeat it in a single blow. That said, Matthias shatters a magic stone, and he infuses it with his magic sword before attacking the menace with a finishing blow. The impact causes a strong earthquake, and the demons lurking in the dungeon's depths awaken from the massive explosion. After that, Matthias returned to the girls' location and showed them the head of the defeated dungeon boss. In the afternoon, Matthias and his group visited the Adventurers Guild and told the receptionist that they wanted to sell monsters to the guild. He opened a portal, and they were all shocked at the enormous head of the defeated dungeon boss. Afterward, the receptionist learns that Matthias has an infinite item box that he can use as storage. He pulled out a giant magic stone, and the receptionist said the stone could qualify as a national treasure. The receptionist is unsure if the guild can afford to pay enough, but Matthias ends up receiving 750 gold coins as their reward. On their way to the academy, Matthias suddenly senses the aura of two demons around the city, so he quickly confronts them. The demons repel his attacks, and when they try retaliating, Matthias stops the fire spell and reflects it at Lord Asheril. Matthias casts more spells, and he lures the demons into a trap, where they are hit with magic arrows that can disrupt their flow of magic. The demon prepared a powerful spell to wipe him out, but Matthias used a spirit ball and stopped the opponent's attack. Matthias attacks them, severely injuring Lord Asheril on his back, and making them desperately try to escape. Since he was paralyzed, he tried to lure Matthias into a trap, but he already saw through his plans, and he immediately escaped the demon's magic circle. After that, the demon showed him powerful sword skills, so Matthias was forced to cast a magic spell that injured the demon from within. Matthias then defeated him right away, and the second demon could not believe that his Lord Asheril was defeated. Matthias cast a powerful magic spell called Light of Death, which could instantly kill a demon, so the demon got scared and tried to run away. However, Alma shot some special arrows at his wings, making them break. Matthias then delivers his finishing blow, ending the second demon in that instant. Their victory caused lots of commotion, and he immediately left with his friends by jumping over some magic circles like trampolines on their way to the academy. The next day, the king invited Matthias and his friends to praise them for their heroic deeds. However, Matthias asked if he could get access to all dungeons as his reward, to which the king immediately agreed. Alma and Luri are asked what they want as a reward, so they both asked for money, and the king happily accepted their wish. Suddenly, Matthias felt the magic of a demon spying on them, so he used his power to stop the demon's spell, which shocked Edward and the king. Matthias told the king that he could locate the demon, so he suggested countermeasures because he wanted to go demon hunting. Since the distance was too far, and teleportation magic was useless, Matthias looked for a solution to their problem at the top of the mountain. Moments later, they arrived at the location, and Matthias wanted to talk with a giant black dragon named Iris. Matthias knew Iris from his past, so when she threatened him, he couldn't believe she didn't recognize him. Iris prepared a powerful fire, but Matthias simply negated her spell, shocking Iris because she believed that no ordinary human could stop her spell easily. Matthias then revealed that he is the reincarnation of Gaius, so Iris immediately apologized for her rude behavior. Matthias makes it clear to Iris that he doesn't want to kill her because he wants her to help them with their quest. Soon enough, Iris told him about her destroyed wings, so Matthias healed them right away. After that, Iris meets Luri and Alma, who are left dumbfounded that Iris speaks the human language. Later on, Matthias' group flew to the demon hideout, and Iris was so happy to help Matthias that she wanted to go max speed. However, Matthias stops Iris because the two girls might exit the anime show too early if she does.
Oh shit, here we go again.
After instantly killing the demon guard, Matthias feels the presence of an incredibly strong demon inside the hideout. Iris failed her landing and crashed into a house, knocking Alma and Luri unconscious. Moments later, they infiltrated the hideout, and the three enter the house where a demon named Elhart was hiding. The house seems empty because Elhart used a concealment spell to make himself invisible. Matthias manages to undo his concealment spell, so Elhart decided to attack him. While dodging the enemy's attack, Alma shoots arrows at the menace continuously. Not long after, Elhart notices that his movements are getting slower and slower. Turns out Luri enchanted Alma's arrows with a magic toxin that can drain a demon's magical energy. Pissed off by the situation, Elhart activated his berserk mode. Matthias, however, uses an illusion spell to trick the demon into attacking a projection of Alma and Luri, delivering a massive dose of magic toxin. Alma shoots a final arrow at his head, which causes the enemy's defeat. Soon after, Matthias tells Alma and Luri to wait for him in the sky with Iris while he fights a much stronger opponent. Matthias crushes a magic stone to release its energy, forcing the mist demon to reveal himself. They begin fighting, and the demon manages to cut Matthias' arm. However, this was part of Matthias' plan all along. He regains his arm and gains information on the demon's magic, which allows him to dodge all his enemies' moves and gash the demon's hand with his sword. Feeling threatened, the demon cast a spell that would make him stronger, but Matthias easily nullified all his spells. Matthias then used his spell to crush a magic stone, causing all its magical energy to rush into the demon's body, leading to an explosion. When the dust settles, a dragon vein pillar appears, a powerful source of energy that the demons intentionally conceal in the hideout. Matthias assumes that they were planning to use it to unleash a horde of monsters on the royal capital. Still, the explosion has luckily steered its target several miles away from the city, giving them time to return and make preparations for the attack. They all return to the academy with Iris in her human form, and Matthias requests that the headmaster accept Iris as a student in the second magic academy, which the headmaster agrees to as long as she passes the entrance exam. Considering that she is not yet accustomed to human societal norms, she fails the written exam in the academy. However, she magnificently won over a knight in her combat practical exam by sending the knight flying onto the roof of a building. The next is the magic practical exam, where she has to hit all 5 targets. Iris charges up her spell, which Matthias predicts will be too strong, so he creates a magical barrier that will protect them. The whole school grounds are obliterated, including the 5 targets. The exam failed successfully, and the headmaster had no choice but to accept a student with an unbelievably destructive magical power. The second Magic Academy gathers ores for the royal capital's barriers, but the first Magic Academy refuses to help. To settle the dispute, Matthias proposes a competition where the loser must obey the winner. Facus, the headmaster of the first Magic Academy, agrees on the condition as long as Matthias doesn't participate. On the day of the contest, the first Magic Academy sends a large group of elite Crest of Creation students. The second Magic Academy counters with just 5 students, none of them bearing the Crest of Creation. Confident of victory, Facus gives the signal, but before their spells are even cast, the 5 students swiftly defeat them with wordless magic. The king, secretly observing, orders the arrest of Facus for treason because he defied royal orders by continuing to teach chanting magic. With him removed, the king commands both academies to focus on wordless magic. As students mine mithril in the dungeons, Matthias leads his party and Iris deeper to hunt a monster that holds a massive magic stone, which he will use as the barrier's core. He also uses the mission to test if Iris can adapt to her new body and join the team. To summon a strong beast, he asks her to infuse magic into a stone slowly, but Iris's idea of slow is wildly off, and she ends up summoning a dragon far stronger than intended. Iris distracts the dragon while Matthias sets up casting magic circles, and when everything is ready, Matthias tasks Iris to provoke the dragon into using its breath attack. When the magic circles activate, it reverses the breath and incinerates the dragon into crisp. Iris retrieves the large magic stone, and Matthias invites her to join the party. He begins training her to control her new body by dodging Alma's arrows on rough terrain. Meanwhile, Lurie masters enchanting multiple spells into a weapon strong enough to shatter boulders. As wordless magic spreads, preparations for the kingdom's protective barrier advance rapidly. On the day the barrier is to be created, Matthias senses a strong magical presence above the Second Magic Academy. Turns out a demon plans to attack using teleportation before the barrier is completed. Needing to focus on the spell, Matthias asks Alma and Lurie to hold off the enemy. As expected, a demon emerges and unleashes a powerful fire spell, and the students create a shield to defend themselves while Lurie begins drawing a magic circle. Inspired by her classmates' willingness to protect her, Lurie becomes even more determined to complete the enchantment. After Lurie crafted a magic arrow, Alma shot the demon through the chest, and the students' combined spells completely ended the menace's existence. However, more demons emerge from the portal, and just when hope fades, Matthias arrives, announcing the barrier spell's completion. He then defeats all the demons alone while the students cheer him for his flawless victory. With the threat cleared, Matthias activates the barrier, forming a radiant dome over the royal capital. Nonetheless, the danger isn't over because the demons begin using the Dragon Vein Pillar to summon even more monsters. Soon, monsters reach the kingdom's outskirts, threatening nearby villages. The students defeat the first wave, while Matthias' party handles a stronger second wave. The final challenge is the Void Eater, which is a monster that grows by devouring strong power. The fight becomes difficult because Matthias unknowingly fuels it with his own power. Matthias, however, sees an advantage in letting the Void Eater's magic stones grow, gaining better resources when they kill it. Soon enough, he defeats the monster with a few sword strikes and beheads it. With the kingdom safe, Matthias decides to leave the academy to search for more Dragon Vein Pillars. The headmaster offers to keep him and his party on the student records for support if needed, and after bidding farewell, the four part ways with the academy. Their first destination is the Melkia Dungeons, and Matthias learns that a city has been established above it. When they arrive at the city, Matthias senses a power from the Dragon Vein, and a fruit vendor warns them to stay away from the lampposts, as they often explode. The lamppost suddenly explodes, and the vendor explains that the current city lord has prohibited the use of magic stones for lampposts. He has also sent most of the adventurers to face a powerful monster, making the city empty. Matthias then goes to the guild hall to ask for adventurers' permits.
Lord have mercy.
But the receptionist warns them, revealing that all those who have permits become the Lord's puppets. While they are unfazed by her warning and proceed with the applications, a woman frantically enters the guild hall and asks if there's anyone who knows how to use healing magic. Since most of the healers have been ousted by the current city lord, Matthias volunteers without hesitation, and he analyzes the severity of their injuries to determine whom he should prioritize first. However, the medics tell him to go away because healing should not be entrusted to the hands of some kid with the weakest crest. Matthias then instantly healed the most gravely injured adventurer, making the medics shut up real quick. With all their combined efforts, they were able to heal them all. Soon after, Matthias asks the doctor what happened to the previous city lord, revealing that he had been killed by Sleep Coon. However, Matthias speculates that demons must have killed him, so after settling into a room, he writes a letter to the headmaster to be forwarded to the king, exposing what is happening in the Melkia dungeon. The next day, the party enters the dungeons for a quick survey, and they return with the skull of a monster that they sell to the guild. The receptionist then writes a letter to report that the girls are powerful, while the boy is merely a healer. While the party enjoys their meals, the city lord orders a group of thugs to take the party down. Matthias then uses a telepathy spell to inform the girls that they are being tailed, and just like that, the goons capture Matthias as a hostage to force them to do what was ordered. Matthias signals Iris to defeat them, so she knocks them all out easily. The next day, Matthias receives a word from the king's messenger, who handed him the king's letter, giving his party the authority to arrest the city lord on behalf of the king. He then uses his tracking spell and pinpoints the city lord's location, which seems to have no guards. However, Matthias detects a bunch of goons waiting for them inside the mansion. Upon entering, several spells are hurled at them, but Lurie blocks them all with a shield spell. Matthias then takes them all down with just one spell and detects a secret entrance, where more goons try to ambush them, but Matthias defeats them in one sweep again. The city lord tries to fight, but Matthias makes him unconscious with a snap of his fingers. Soon enough, Matthias realizes that the demons have discovered the Dragon Vein Pillar, which can cause a world calamity. Suddenly, they feel the tremors in the basement because the demons are already using the dragon vein to summon a horde of monsters. Apparently, they have 2 hours until the monsters invade the city, so they have to defeat the demons controlling the dragon vein pillar. Matthias then assigns his party to do something about the rampaging monsters, and he comes across a demon and discovers that there's a higher-up demon giving him all the orders. Matthias can tell that he's facing a demon much stronger than the ones he's dealt with in his current life. Suddenly, a voice tells the demon to use ranged spells against him, so Matthias telepathically tells Luri to prepare 2 casting circles for him. The demon sends multiple ranged attacks, so he defends himself until Luri completes the casting circles. Matthias then tells Luri to activate the circles to nullify all the trap spells laid by the demon. The higher-up demon also speculates that Matthias is Gaius' reincarnation, which means the higher-up is an ancient demon who knows Gaius personally. The demon then uses his last transformation, but Matthias still successfully defeats his enemy. Meanwhile, Luri successfully neutralizes the dragon vein, making all the monsters disappear. Matthias then keeps the magical stone left by the demon to figure out the identity of the higher-up demon. Later on, he explains that there's an ancient device that can read the magical signatures and determine the location of its caster. The device is located in Radinia Alliance, and Matthias believes that the easiest way to cross the border is through the king's help. When they return to the royal capital, the second magic academy is undergoing a complete reconstruction, and Matthias informs Edward of their plan to cross the border. Edward then tells him that he will relay the message to the king, so the party offers to help with the construction. A few days later, they obtain a written permit from the king to visit the Radinia Alliance, but the area where the device is located is a restricted territory. Soon enough, they arrive at Radinia's guild, and Matthias tells them that they must all pass the AE rank test to access the restricted region. At that moment, Gilas, a famous S-rank adventurer, enters to proctor the exam, and he simply passes Iris, Alma, and Luri, but insists on having a duel with Matthias. Once they start fighting, Matthias realizes that Gilas casts enchantments on his body and sword unconsciously, a remarkable ability that most people can't do. The two were evenly matched in terms of swordsmanship, but due to Gilas' inexperience in casting enchantment, Matthias got the best of him. Gilas acknowledges his power, so Matthias gives him the book where he has written down all of his wordless magic to help him improve his combat skills. Gilas looks down on magic because he thinks that it leaves its caster vulnerable to quick attacks, but Matthias explains that wordless magic doesn't have that weakness. With their rank certification, the party proceeds to the restricted area where they encounter a checkpoint. Matthias detects a tracking spell and a demon code message, making him suspect that demons must control the entire city of Phokia. Not long after, a large group of bandits is ready to ambush them, but Matthias gives Luri and Alma a sleeping potion to put the bandits asleep while he and Iris distract them. The plan works, but Luri and Alma also fall asleep from the spell exposure. After waking them up, they make their way to Phokia City, where Luri and Matthias detect over 30 unique magical signatures, which means Phokia City is overrun by demi-demons. That said, instead of walking in directly, Matthias uncovers a hidden passage, used by the demi-demons to infiltrate the city. All the townspeople look like zombies, walking around aimlessly, and soon they find a long line in front of a factory, where a demon casts a thought paralysis spell to force them into working in the factory. Matthias casts a counterspell, allowing them to enter the factory and discover that humans are being used to manufacture explosives. Matthias can't let this go on, so they devise a strategy to take down the demons. Matthias unmasks Iris' massive magical signature, forcing several demons to investigate the threat. When they reach the spot, they strike them all down, resulting in over half of their forces being wiped out. Soon enough, the leader of the demi-demons arrives, and he commands the remaining demi-demons to gather in one location and use their explosives to take the enemy down. Fortunately, Gilas decided to visit Phokia City and lend the party a helping hand. While Iris and Matthias cut down the remaining demi-demons, Gilas uses his newly learned wordless magic and defeats the leader successfully. However, the demi-demon leader's eyes suddenly glowed red, and he launched an attack on Matthias. Suddenly, the same voice from the Melkia dungeon speaks from the enemy's mouth, threatening to come after Matthias once he destroys the seal. After that, the demi-demon's body disintegrates, and the people under the thought paralysis regain consciousness. While they are confused about what happened, Gilas assumes temporary emergency control over Phokia City. Matthias then looks forward to seeing how much he grows in strength when they meet again. Soon after, they reach their destination, and Matthias almost revealed that he created the device in his past life. Matthias unlocks it, prompting them to enter an underground passage to view the ancient device. While Matthias activated the device, the others searched for valuable artifacts around them. Once the device is ready, Matthias analyzes the magical signatures on the magic stones and discovers that the demon behind all the ruckus is the powerful demon named Zaridius. Considering how weak and useless humans are in the current era, they have no chance of defeating him. Matthias then analyzed the magical signatures of the weapons found inside to pinpoint the location of another mighty magical sword. Luckily, the sword is in the king's treasury, so they fly toward the royal capital as fast as they can because Zaridius has completely broken the seal. Matthias commands Luri and Alma to look for the magical sword in the treasury of the king, while he tries to stop Zaridius from purging humanity. Zaridius arrives at the royal capital through a portal, so Iris unleashes a giant blast of her dragon breath spell. However, it doesn't even land a scratch on the menace, so Matthias attacks Zaridius, and they exchange devastating blows. Alma and Luri make it to the treasury, but they can't enter without the king's permission. Suddenly, the king chimes in and allows them to enter the treasury. Matthias, on the other hand, is overwhelmed by the demon's power and fails to dodge one of his attacks. While Zaridius revealed that he had resurrected the demons they had killed before, Alma and Luri found the sword, and they rushed back to Matthias. They then encounter the resurrected, weaker demon they had defeated earlier, and managed to take it down easily. Soon enough, the resurrected Lord Astral arrived with 2 hostages to blackmail the girls into giving him the magic sword. The girls submit to the demon's demand, and Matthias is almost out of magical energy. He then contemplates whether he should use the last bit of his power to reincarnate himself again in the next era. But he cannot leave his friends behind to perish at the hands of a ferocious demon. That said, he uses his life force to increase his magical power to hold out against the enemy until he gets the sword. Meanwhile, the demon was about to take the sword from Alma and Luri when suddenly they got reinforcement from their academy. When the girls finally manage to throw the sword at Matthias, Zaridius stabs him through the heart, killing him instantly. Little did he know that the wielder's death was required to activate the true power of the magic sword. The sword revives its wielder and activates a tremendous amount of magical energy. Matthias delivers a fatal blow to Zaridius, turning him into ashes. When the crisis is over and peace returns to humans, Alma, Luri, Iris, and Matthias happily reunite. Matthias then decided to return to Second Magic Academy until he fully recovered, and the king generously rewarded them with everything they wanted. Later that day, Matthias gives Luri a beautiful pendant that he created from ores he bought from a shop. And from that moment on, Matthias spends the rest of his reincarnated life leveling up his crest. He continues to adventure with his party, striving to become the strongest sage of the current era.